the number one reasons relationships failed and we end up bringing out the worst in our partners is having differences and escalation. It starts to escalate. Basically, as soon as you start to feel I'm not being heard and you say you're not listening to me, that's escalation. It's only downhill from there. If you say you're not listening to me, you're already escalating an issue. If a man feels anger and frustration, he's starting to escalate. Frustration, he's not fully escalating. But if a man's angry, what you have to know, women, is I know many of you have these wounded experiences of terrible arguments with men. And you feel like a victim, you feel scared, you feel like you had no control over it, you have no idea why that happened. This wonderful guy who's so loving towards you could become so mean and so cruel. How did that happen? If you don't understand men, then you feel afraid, you feel untrusting, and you're kind of on edge. When could it happen again? And when this happens in my counseling class, I always bring women back to, let's look at that situation and see how you could have avoided that reaction. And they have no idea how they could have avoided that reaction. So it's literally a feeling completely powerless. When you understand why you get what happens to you, particularly when it's not favorable, then it could happen anytime again. The brain will live in fear forever and mistrust and the inability to open heart and accept and appreciate what you have. The brain goes into a fight or flight response from the wounds of the past. And what we want to do is explore those wounds of the past, and you go back to those situations, at least in gender discussion here with a man and you're a woman, you have no idea how you contributed to what just happened. They're so invested in, yeah, but I didn't mean to do anything. I was only trying. I was only, trying to improve the relationship by conversation. But he said, yeah, I said this and this, but he said that and that. You see, this is very childlike and only keeps you in a place of mistrust along the line. So if you can revisit those difficult times in the past and you go there from the perspective of understanding men, you realize that there was an escalation that took place. So now a man is saying something mean to you. Okay, so I've heard the most amazing things some men will say who are really good guys. When there's a hurricane, these guys will get in a truck and they're out there handing out food to everybody. There's a savior thing. There's a hero thing inside of men. And just as bright and shiny as they can be dark if mismanaged. So the management here is just to understand this concept of escalation. Your number one phrase to de-escalate is, this is not really a big deal. And I just need to say this for you to think about, and you don't have to say anything. Now, why is that so important? If I was talking to men, I'd be explaining to men, if you start to experience any anger and you talk, it only gets worse. Because when you're angry and you're a man, that means your estrogen levels are flaring and your testosterone is going down. You're becoming somebody other than who you are. And what women instinctively do is they think that, all we have to do is talk and then we'll feel better, because talking will produce estrogen and that helps women to feel better. Okay. So talking is now the answer, but actually it's not. The answer is men listening. And if they're good listeners, they can continue to seek to understand rather than to change. Because what women need most is to be understood. If a woman's upset, the emotional charge, which prevents her to feel relaxed and open and loving and appreciative, that charge is she's needing to feel safe and understood, seen and heard. You don't have to agree with her. See, men think, but I don't agree with her. No, you need to understand where she's coming from in her reality. And then the extra power that you can have to really transform a woman, if you're a man, is to understand her emotions. And that's what men can relate to. If you say, gee, I feel like, you're working too much. I don't relate to that. I don't feel like you're working too much. I'd rather, so it's hard for us always to relate and connect with what you're feeling. I feel this belief, as opposed to I feel frustrated when you're so busy. I'd rather spend more time with you because I love you. I just wanted to let you know. It's an FYI. Okay. Just informing. Conversation is informing.